One. This
Hello.
is Season Convo by your two hosts,
Hey.
Cayenne Pepper and Paprika.
Hey, let's clap it up.
Hey, clap it up,
Hey.
clap it up, clap it up. We are doing this thing, Paprika. Can you believe it? We're
I
here.
know. It's been a minute. We've been talking about it for a long time and we are here. So let's get this
Yes,
thing
yes.
going.
Let's get this thing started, which is the title of our first episode. So, we're going to explain to you what we're doing here and what we look to accomplish because we have been thinking about this. God had put this in our spirit for many years. And if you don't know, and you will know as you get to know us, that we are introvert people. We're not
Mhm.
extroverts. We're social. Don't get us wrong. We love people,
Yeah.
but we're very introverted. We don't the attention we it's not we're not looking for new attention. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So the thing about it, about what we're looking to do, as we have been friends for over 40 years, um, we have a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom that we want to share, a lot of laughter, a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. Um, Ups and downs, and just the way we've navigated through our lives.
Mhm.
We've wanted to share that with the world for whoever's interested,
Mhm.
current generations, new generations, just so that we remind everyone that everything is done by faith.
Mhm.
We persevere through faith and the
Mhm.
faith that we have, and we know that everything is possible. Anything is possible as
Mhm.
long as we have faith. And no matter how challenging things may be, um, sometimes it seems like it's going to be it's so dark that we're not going to get through. We want to tell you, you will get through. Because
Amen.
there are things that as we go through and you listen to our podcast that we didn't know we were going to make it.
Mm.
But lo and behold, thank the Lord, we are
All right
here.
now. We are here.
Yes. So, first and foremost, before we get into our various topics of this episode, which this episode is titled, Let's Get It Started. Let's get it started. So, okay, it's our
Hey.
first episode, so let's get it started. All right. Paprika, let's talk about why you chose Paprika as your seasoned name.
Hey, friends and family and new fans. I'm Paprika, and I chose my name because paprika is a nice season. It's a season that could go from mild to hot, and I could do that in various aspects of my life, whether it be work, family, home. Work, family, home. Um, I can go from mild to hot with the grandkids and the kids, and I can go my situations, but we could continue mild. And also, I can be mild and hot in other situations, but we're not going to talk about that right now. You know, we this is our first episode, so we got time for that.
We're gonna keep it mild,
We're
right?
gonna keep it mild right now. So there we are. That's what I have right now. Nice to meet everyone, and I hope you all enjoy our podcast and continue to join in.
Awesome, awesome. Well, that's good, Paprika. That season fits you for sure. And I'm gonna have fun saying that throughout our episodes.
Hmm.
Paprika, Paprika. So now the reason why I picked cayenne pepper is because I want to bring a little kick. I bring a little kick, a little potency, a little heat sometimes to my conversations. I've been told by some of my children that I can be a little direct. I know that um, I mean well. I have my conversations. They have some flavor. I like to give a lot of flavor to the conversation, as well as sometimes give a little kick to it when it needs to be given. So that's why I picked cayenne pepper. So
All right. I love it. I love
a
that.
little spicy, a
That's
little
perfect.
spicy. I like it to be a little spicy.
Mhm.
Like you say, some of the kick is good kick, and some of the spice is a little spicy for a little bit later. But anyway, we're gonna save that for later episodes. So yes, welcome everyone. We are so excited that you took the time to want to hear what we have to say, and we hope that you continue to grow with us and come along with us on this journey as we embrace it. for what God has asked us to do. So, first and foremost, there will be an email that you're going to see pop up on the screen every now and then. And that's for you to email us any comments you have, any dialogue or topics you would like us to discuss. We want this to be something that we all kind of participate in. Being a little bit transparent of
Mhm.
things that us two introverted people would normally only keep introverted, that we're trying to extrovert. So give us a little grace. Wait,
Yes.
please.
A little
All
bit of
right.
grace, please.
All right. All right. So let's get it started. So
Right.
the segments we're gonna have throughout our episodes are gonna be in the topics of on a serious note, and then why did we or what were we thinking? So let's get started. You ready, Paprika?
All right, Paprika's bouncing these shoulders. I know y'all can't see me right now. She bouncing the shoulders. She's getting ready. So let's go.
All right, let's do it. So,
On a serious note, let's talk about setting boundaries at our season age. Cayenne pepper.
hmm,
Tell me a little bit about you're setting your boundaries as we age.
well, setting boundaries didn't become relevant until we got probably in when I got into adulthood. Boundaries needed to be set because when we were growing up, I mean, we just did everything. We did everything that we needed to do because we were learning. You know, we were in school, we were doing
Mhm,
assignments, we were doing extracurriculum activity, we were
mhm,
working, we were establishing friendships, we were learning ourselves. It was just so much going on. And as we grew up, we realized that um, it just became more. It kept piling on more stuff. Kids, we of course we have relationships, we have children,
mhm,
we watch them grow, we work, we're working in careers, figuring out our lives so we can take care of our children and take care of our
mhm,
families. We're helping, we're still we have our friends, we're still
mhm,
doing things that we like to do. And until we get into our mid, until I got into my mid life stage, I would say, is where I learned that everything became a little overwhelming. Where at that time I was like, how do I manage this overwhelming feeling that I can't get everything done that I want to get done? And in my brain, it was like just constantly task. I'll describe it as a filing cabinet with all the files all over the table,
mhm.
and I'm
So let me
trying
ask, I'm sorry, go ahead. So let me ask you,
to.
what age do you think that started for you?
I would say in my 30s, my late 30s, early 40s.
Okay.
I think once we got kind of settled in figuring out what life was going to look like,
Mhm,
um, then you're like, okay, finally arrived here where I feel like I'm supposed to be. But now I can't keep volunteering and doing things that I know mentally I cannot manage
mhm,
and still maintain a sense of stability in my brain of that I'm organized because I have to be organized. That's just me. So
mhm,
with that, the boundaries was a must. I had to figure out when I was gonna and how I was gonna set boundaries. So how did I figure that out? Of course, I decided the best thing for me to do was to get therapy.
mm,
So my therapist explained to me that I needed to realize that it's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay not to do everything all at one time. It's
mhm,
okay to close the filing cabinet and leave everything in there. So that's when I started to learn how to set the boundaries. To
mhm,
do those boundaries, some people don't understand those boundaries because they're so used to when you are a person that likes to appease everyone
mhm.
and make sure that everyone's happy, um, that becomes difficult to say no because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But then
Right.
you also had to, through growth, you have to realize that your feelings are just as important as everybody else's feelings.
Mhm.
So that's why.
Yep. Yep, and you brought up a good point about therapy. Therapy is absolutely needed nowadays. It's probably needed back, when we were growing up and when our parents were, being parents and parenting and beyond that probably with their parents. But, it just wasn't talked about. Everything you had to be strong. You were supposed to be strong, but, in the midst of that, sometimes you just can't be strong for everything and everybody,
Mm.
so therapy, for me was important as well. That was a good thing. And I encourage people to get therapy, and talk to a therapist because there's things that there's tools that they could give you, that to help you cope with a lot of the things that we're going through. And I know you said for you setting your boundaries at 30. I'm pretty sure I was a little later than that. With setting my boundaries, I kind of wish I would have started sooner, but didn't understand what boundaries were.
Mm.
Um, didn't understand the importance of having those boundaries and setting those boundaries. So as you get older, so like now, I'm just like, I'm not showing up to nothing. I'm not doing nothing, and I don't want to do nothing because I wasted all my boundary time, not setting them then to where now I'm setting them now. So
Right.
now, so now it's like, okay, I don't want to do nothing. Is that good or bad? I don't know. In my mind, sometimes I think
Mm.
it's bad, but I'm still figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, those boundaries that I have now are they're pretty tough, um,
Mm-hmm.
at the most part. So, but yeah.
But that's good. When you said, being that you talked about, how um, you don't know how people will take that, if it's right or wrong. Or
Mm-hmm.
I think as we get older, we understand more so that we need our peace, right? We need
Mm-hmm.
peace for us because the more you do things that you really don't want to do, the more you feel like you're just draining yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
I think with therapy, going back to the therapy, and back then, when it started for me, therapy was a stigma, where people were
Mm-hmm.
like, "You crazy?
Right.
You want to go to therapy? What can somebody tell you that your mama or church can't tell you?"
Right.
Everybody, I think, it goes back to God gave us doctors. God gave us doctors. God gave us therapists too.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been an encourager of therapy. Some tools that they can give you
Absolutely.
that they've actually, that's what they do. That's their career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay. Well, now the next segment. Hmm. Why did we think? Why did we think that relationships would last forever in high school? I mean, it goes back to our boundaries, right? Um, why do we think they would last forever? I think we established friendships and relationships because we were growing, going through puberty, trying to figure out life and acceptance, right? Wanting to
Mm-hmm.
be accepted as we watched our children grow. Um, we also watch them experience this too as wanting to be accepted. And you hold on to those friendships because you don't know and understand what seasons are when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that, hey, these relationships were gonna last forever. We were gonna marry these people we were in relationships
Mm-hmm.
with. But all in all, it was us learning what relationships were all about,
Mm-hmm.
learning ourselves, learning, what we wanted to accept in relationships. And not everything worked out the way we thought they were supposed to. But they wasn't supposed to work out that way.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
We
Yep,
learned
God.
that along the way. We
Yeah,
learned
God had a
that
plan, didn't he?
God had a plan. He said, "This is what your life is going to be. This is
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to go through. And you're going to have this testimony to share with others to how you made it through some of those tough heartbreaks and
Mm-hmm.
things that you experienced in relationships as you were growing up that you thought was supposed to last forever."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people grow. We know as we grew up, people changed.
Mm-hmm.
they decided to move and go somewhere else. Others
Mhm.
stayed and they still ended up, only friends or in our lives as friends,
Mhm.
close friends for a season. But it doesn't mean they're still not our friends,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
Because, I know for me, I have plenty of people that we sometimes talk to,
Mhm.
every now and then. And it's just like picking up the phone. That's like the last time we saw each other.
Yep.
So, I mean, if I had to give advice to the younger generation, don't get so hung up on relationships that if they don't work out, that it's the end of every relationship, because it's not.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
really just the beginning, because you learning from that relationship that's gonna help you build upon your next relationship.
Mhm.
So,
Oh yes. Oh, that's a good one. Help you build upon. So to me, when you go back and look, oh, our young little love minds back then, I tell you,
so in
boy,
love,
we thought we were
so
so in love, didn't we?
so in love.
Oh man, we just thought we were so in love and
Mm.
life was going to be over. We weren't going to be with that same person and it was just good. The world was going to end. But you know what? Like you said, it just set us up. If you go back and look back at your past relationships, it just set us up to where we are now. It set us up to where what you wanted to deal with and things that you didn't want to deal with. So, even though um, we went through those things, we went through them for a reason.
Mm.
And just like Cayenne said, young people, don't think that that relationship that you might be in, that you in now, it just could be your preparing you for your next
Mhm.
relationship.
It's your stepping stone.
Yeah.
I like that. It's your
Yeah.
stepping stone.
Stepping stone. It's a stepping stone for the
It's your
next to
stepping stone for
where
the
you're gonna be.
next. Right. And
So
also it's your growth process,
mhm.
because you learn about, like, our friendship, 40 years, over 40 years we've been friends, and we have other
I'm not
friends that
that
we've been
old,
friends.
ma'am. I'm not that old.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
no, ma'am.
we're not even gonna that'll come out later. We're gonna talk about why you're
It's so
not that
good.
old in your mind. But it's okay. But this is why we're called
That's right,
seasoned,
seasoned.
right? So I like that. All right,
Mhm.
Paprika. We go move it right along. We gonna move it right along. Let's go on to on a serious note. We talking about boundaries. We talked about relationships as we were growing up. Oh my gosh, so many things that we experienced that we have to share um, with our audience. But now, knowing what we know now in the world that we're in today, what career field would you have chosen?
Hmm.
Mm.
Well, I tell you. So if my perfect in my perfect mind, well, my perfect little world in my mind, I'll say that.
Mhm.
It would have been something with sports, hands down, something with sports. I love sports. People that know me know I love my sports. I love my softball, I love my basketball, I love baseball, I love football. So, all the things. But yeah, if I would be on I'd be a personal trainer. I would be some type of athletic trainer for any type of sports field. I would definitely be coaching somebody's softball team.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to have coached somebody's basketball team. Football, not so much. But I just like to watch. I like football and sport, but running their plays is a little more strategic, I believe, than and
Mhm.
then anybody want to chime in and say tell me no, but in my mind, I think doing a football play is a little more strategic than running a basketball. And then, of course, softball is softball. But softball has gotten way more advanced than when,
Mhm.
I started playing, back in our younger years. So, yeah, it would definitely be in something. No, hands down, no questions. I don't have to think about it. It'd be something in sports related.
And why did you not go in sports?
Well, life be lifing. You know
Life
what I
be
mean?
life.
Life be lifing.
Mhm.
Life was lifing so hard that I was having babies at teenage age. So, and not to say, wait, don't get me wrong, audience, don't get me wrong. Not to say that having children young is the end of all ends, which it is not.
Not.
It's
Mm.
just that at that moment, at that time, I just did not pursue in my mind at that time. Of course, we can go back and do things over again. I would have done. I would not to say that I wouldn't have my children, but my path for my career would have, I've taken a different path. So,
Mhm.
um, been at that time thinking that I had to have a job, insurance, you know, all those things had to be done. So that's why I didn't pursue. But not to say that I didn't coach a cheerleading team, not to say that I didn't coach a softball team,
Mhm.
because I did do that,
Mhm.
but I just didn't pursue it. So, but yeah, life be life, and sometimes, and we just,
It
we
does.
choose a different path, and sometimes God helps us choose those paths, you know.
To
So
help us get through the
help us
situation,
get,
get
mm-hmm,
through that path. Well, should I say that stage, not situation, but the stage that we
right,
were at that particular
mm-hmm,
time,
yeah,
right? I know, for me, it's I always, because my family, not all of everybody went to college,
mm-hmm,
because we're from a small town in the country, in North Carolina, and part of my family was in education,
mm-hmm,
um, and then others were, blue collar workers. Um, so my goal was, I know I wanted to pursue something that was going to be fulfilling because of what I saw growing up. Um, and if I had to, if I could go back and say, okay, was that really what I wanted to do? Probably not,
mm-hmm,
because um, it wasn't a true passion. To your point,
mm-hmm,
we had established our families, our children, and
mm-hmm,
had our children, and we knew we needed to provide, right?
right,
So I needed to figure it out real fast. And sometimes I feel
mm-hmm,
like the children today, even when we watch our kids grow up, and you ask them, when they get out of high school, what do you want to do? They really don't know,
mm-mm,
and you really don't know. You look at the world and you're like, what's really in right now? So
mm-hmm,
when it was time for me to choose my career years ago, it was the IT field.
mm-hmm,
So that's what I chose, and that's what I picked up on, and that's where I've been most of my life. But I found that my true passion is something in the medical field. I'm
mm-hmm,
intrigued about learning why things happen to our bodies that happen to our bodies, whether it's us catching a cold, or to why is this wear and tear on this part of the body, and
mm-hmm.
what can we do to prevent that. Um, so I would have probably went in a medical field somewhere. I'm not sure which part of the medical field I would have done. But because I'm interested, and I'm always giving medical advice. Hmm. When to take this, when not to
Because
take that. Can you
because you
take
are the
this with
doctor.
this? I am the doctor in the clique, okay? So I found that that's probably what what I,
So it's funny you say that because I'm always calling, hey Tasha, can I take this with this? And you always give me a good answer.
yeah, I think not only you, I mean, but out of the group, the text comes in
Yep.
like, can I do this? And I mean, and family does it too. So it's I think that's, if
That's
anything, I
funny.
miss that part of my
Mm-hmm.
calling, because life was lifing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if I had to go back to now that we know, to go back to what we can share with the younger generation that's coming up and trying to figure out life, you have time to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get yourself caught up in debt trying to
Mm-hmm.
just get a degree. Um,
Mm-hmm.
don't get yourself caught up in things that you really don't want to do because you don't have a passion for it, because you feel like you have to make a quick decision.
That's huge. That's
I
huge.
can't stress that enough,
Yeah, that's
because
huge.
I watched my children, we all want to succeed,
Mm-hmm.
but at what cost to your soul and your being do
Yeah.
we take measures that we're not really ready to take yet?
And because society says so, you
And
know,
that part,
and because society says so.
society pushes us to a point where it's like, you got to do it, you got to do it now. But I'm gonna tell you, I know some of and your nieces and nephews, they have chosen things
Mm-hmm.
they like to do. It's
Yep.
just, it's not about the money. It's
Yep.
not about, the career or having this degree or having
Mm-hmm.
this behind. It's about being settled in your soul that you're doing something you love to do.
Yeah.
And you will survive on that,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. You can survive on that. So if I would say, just be patient with yourself, don't rush,
Yeah.
take your time, build
Mm-hmm.
your life around things that you love, clearly have passion for,
Mm-hmm.
because then it won't feel like a job.
Yeah.
When you heard the saying, if you go to work and you're working, it's really not your passion,
Mm-hmm.
because you're really going to work because you enjoy, you just, it's fun for you. It's your passion.
Right.
You're just going to have
Mm-hmm.
fun. But if you're going to work and you don't want to get up and go every day, you don't pick the
Yep.
wrong career. So
That's right.
that's just
Yep.
a little tip from us,
Yeah.
our
For seasons.
seasoned self.
Shout out to my niece, my nephew, Paris and Trey. Um, yeah, those two are out in California living their best life. And they are, yeah, shout out to them. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I know. I can say shout out too to my daughter, Kiara, because
Yeah, shout out to Kiera. Yes.
Kiara is living her best life. And
Shout out to
I was
Kiera.
always told, and we need to know where everything is coming from. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I was brought up on. We need to make sure,
Yes.
mm-mm, live by faith. Living by faith is
Shout
living
out
by
to,
faith.
yes.
Shout out to them. Yes.
Yes, because they are doing, yes.
They doing
Yes.
it up. They doing
Mm-hmm.
it. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, amen to that.
Yep.
So, well, we have, let me see. Do you have your
Yeah, so on the funny
next
note of that side, uh, let's talk about, well, I guess this is a caveat. This goes into what we were talking about, the jobs. And,
question?
I guess why do we think the job that we have now was going to last forever? That's
Hmm.
funny.
Look at today. Look at what we're living in
That's
today.
funny.
It's like burst my bubble. I mean,
Woo,
first of all,
man.
we knew that when we were coming up, pension was going out the door. Those jobs that our grandparents had and our parents might have had that were career
Mm-hmm.
fields that they would be able to retire and get a pension was no longer. They were already subsiding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we come into the working world, and you know, government became the whole, well, it's safe, it's secure, it's stable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was one thing. But you still felt like you needed to be in a job for years and
Mm-hmm.
years and years, because number one, it shows your loyalty, and you feel like there's some loyalty that will come back. To
Mm-hmm.
answer the question, that's what we were hoping to seek. But I also found that it bounded us
Yeah.
into uh, a corner
Mm-hmm.
where stability and security changed along the
Mm-hmm.
way as we continued our careers. And now it's even changing even more. So we
Mm-hmm.
always have to have that backup plan. Going back to passion and what we're
Yeah,
passionate
absolutely.
about.
Absolutely.
The saying is, it's never too late, which is true. If
Yeah.
you want to do something else, do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
Future episodes, more to come. Um, be ready, because when
Mm-hmm.
you get seasoned, it's gonna be on and popping when you trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out if
Rock-a-lackin'.
you can retire and if you gonna still and what you
Yes.
gonna do. And when
Because
people say save your money,
yes,
save
save your
your
money.
money.
Because in the state that
Okay.
we are in right now,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave it at that. At that.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. So no, I really feel like we are learning a lot. I think now that we're seasoned, there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that we didn't know. There,
Yes.
you're in your mind, you're like, I have to make some decisions on what's going to happen if this happens to me?
Mhm.
What's going to happen? Because why? Because we've seen it with our family members
Yeah.
that have either gotten sick or
Right.
have gone on to
Mhm.
be with the Lord. And we know that those things are not a part of the parenting book.
That's for
They're
sure.
not. They're not a part of parenting book. Nobody prepared, I know, me for what we're gonna have to endure with my father passing,
Mhm.
or what I was gonna have to endure with my grandma not being able to take care of herself,
Mhm.
and watching my mom take care of my grandma.
Mm.
And then figuring out, what does that mean? Because then you reflect,
Yep.
and you're trying to reflect on whether or not, well, this could be me, and
Yeah.
I'm a want to be prepared type person. I have to be prepared
Mhm.
for what's the time, and whatever I can do to prepare, I want to be prepared for it. But
Mhm.
it's so much in
It
life
is.
that we have to
It
account
is.
for.
And some things we don't want to think about, but and at our big age where we are now, we have to think about
We
those
gotta put on
things.
our big pants,
We got to put them on and pull them all the way up to our chest.
put them
And
all the way.
and we got to start thinking about and doing those things that are very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Whether it be, like you said, talking about our parents' health, death and things like that. So yeah,
wasn't
we gotta.
prepared. Wasn't
No,
prepared.
no.
Nothing
Mm-mm.
prepared. Nothing prepared me for
Mm-hmm.
those emotions. Nothing prepared me for death, period. Even when I
Yeah.
lost my brother at a young
Mm-hmm.
age. Um,
Mm.
there's things that we don't sit around at the dinner table when we were growing up and we talked about, instead of we talked about how was your day at school, what do we need to
Mm-hmm.
do for homework?
Yep.
I think real life scenarios should be talked about.
Facts.
And um there should be an understanding of everybody's wishes on what everybody wants to do when it comes to those things that come up in life.
Mm-hmm.
Did we get through them? We did. We got through
Mm-hmm.
them.
That's right.
We all persevered. Everybody comes together. But to be able to have those conversations early in your family, I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend to the new generation, have those conversations early. It doesn't mean
Absolutely.
if you talk about what your wishes are, if something happens to you, it doesn't mean you're gonna die tomorrow. Because
Yeah.
that's what the stigma was about it back in the
Pretty
day.
much what I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we think that, yeah. If I start talking about this, God is
Yeah,
preparing me to prepare
right.
you,
Right.
and that's not the case.
Anxiety through the roof.
Yes, anxiety.
No, it's not the case. You're right.
Yes. But if I had to, hone in and based on, what we're talking about, our
Mm-hmm.
careers and our boundaries and, things that have been, us getting started in this
Mm-hmm.
season years that we're in, the season years that we're in is that things we would have known and not spent so much time on would have prepared us
Yes.
so much better
Mm-hmm.
for
Yep.
today.
Absolutely.
But do I regret anything? No, I don't
Yeah,
regret
absolutely
anything.
not.
But what
Nope.
I would like to do is help others to
Mm-hmm.
really think about the decisions that they make and the time that they spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tap into this just a little bit
Yeah.
because back then we didn't have cell phones.
Nope.
So that wasn't our distraction. Our
Mm-mm.
distraction was other things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but to see the distraction that the cell phone has on our generation,
Mm-hmm.
it concerns me in a sense of how much time is wasted that you can't get back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can't get it back.
So true. Oh my gosh.
So figuring out those life skills of what makes you happy, your boundaries being set,
Yeah.
honing in on relationships and the seasons and what they are and what they mean
Mm-hmm.
to you.
Yeah.
Um, and then also making sure you're doing something that you love doing and
Mm-hmm.
having tough conversations when you need to have them.
That's right.
Key. They are
Yeah, because
key.
that's right.
Yeah.
Because doom scrolling is not going to do it for you.
Doom scrolling doesn't do anything but make you spend money that you
Yeah,
don't need
that's
to
right.
spend. And that's for another episode in itself. We will talk about that.
Yes,
because
another
there will be
episode.
a scrolling time episode coming up.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
But yes, so we are so excited that
Yes, we are.
we have been able to share um,
Mm-hmm.
this first episode.
Yeah.
Paprika, how you feeling? You see, I almost did it. You did it to me. I heard
I
my
did. I
name.
did. I did.
But that's okay. I'm
I did, and I caught
Latasha and
myself.
that's Susan. That's okay. But we gonna work with Paprika
Yes.
and Cayenne Pepper. Or you can call me CP. Why don't you just call me CP?
CP.
CP is in the
Yeah,
building.
because that's a, I can move from G Money to CP. We got
There
this.
are. Oh, yeah, don't get my nickname. Don't get my nickname. Look, no, I'm just playing. We transparent. We
Yeah.
transparent here. We transparent. No worries. But yes,
Yeah. It's a
we
good episode. This was good,
this is
Cayenne. It
this
was
is
good. I
good.
enjoyed
I
this
think
episode.
we're gonna enjoy this. I think this
Mm-hmm.
was our first one.
Great
I'm pretty
convo.
sure there's some bloopers when we go back that we're gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
but I prefer to be authentic.
Absolutely.
I don't wanna shade who I
Nope.
am. But yes, so we're excited. The
Yep.
email for you all to email us is on the screen. We will come back and do another episode soon. So be ready as we build upon these episodes week after week. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the audience. We want to hear what you like. And so we appreciate you being here and we look forward to coming back again.
Yes.
Um, as until then, um,
Yes.
till next time.
Keep it
Bye.
spicy.
Keep it spicy, keep it seasoned, keep it seasoned, keep that conversation going. And I hope
Yeah.
you pick up something from here that a little tip that you can take along the way to help
Mm-hmm.
you. We thank God for allowing us to be here
Amen.
today.
Yes.
And until we meet again, everyone be blessed.
All righty.